what's going on, guys? So I'm here with one of my primary mentors and the best day trader that I personally know, and who I got my name from as well, John's Crypto Therapy. What's up, John?
Hey, how's it going, Ron? Welcome everyone to this channel. I honestly, I cannot say anything more than all these good things about you, Ron. I think your channel's great. I'm happy that you're back, and we're gonna fire this engine up. And look, I want to really give the opportunity to a lot of you guys that are traders or wanting to be traders, the opportunity to become great traders. Today is going to be a great session, and we're gonna talk a lot today. So I'm really excited. Ron's got the script for today.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you making the time. John is very busy. That's why we're doing this at 8 o'clock at night. I know some people in Europe, they can't stay up, and some people, that's a little late, but we're lucky to have John up here at all. You know, he does this for real, for a living. You know, he keeps kind of odd hours. He's always kept kind of odd hours because he trades markets at different hours. You're really more of a forex guy, right, John? That's fair to say.
Yeah.
More than forex and crypto.
Yeah, I got into actually forex in the beginning. I think forex was it was just everywhere. I think on Instagram and everything, a lot of people see these fancy lifestyles. I got into it afterwards, but first my mentor kind of got me into the forex world, and it was life-changing. You know, just realizing that volume is king, and the volume kind of description goes through the whole structures of trading when it comes to stocks, futures, everything, guys. Volume is king. So I really want to talk to you guys about that and how easy forex could be if you really want to get into trading forex as well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some topics. We're going to take some questions for John. We're going to do all those good things. I will tell you guys, I know I got a lot of DGens that follow me. People want to know the greatest low cap AI, whatever. John isn't into those kind of things. He's trading with a lot of size. So if he's doing a crypto trade, he's generally speaking, he's going after like, you know, ADA or something with a lot of volume, a lot of, you know, he's not looking for a 100x meme coin fresh off the press. That's not his game. He does, you know, there's different ways to do this. Not saying anything wrong with that, but that's not how John operates. So he doesn't know any hidden gems or anything like that. He's not into the low caps.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely, Ron. You're right in the money. If I have extra money, don't get me wrong, I do like to put into some random meme coins. I think there was a meme coin about the squirrel, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, I just put some random money into it, you know, $100 or so, and it went up to close to 2,000. So, you know, you can make money like that. But if you make money like that, how often are you going to find a coin like that you're going to 10x or 100x or, you know, 1,000x, right? I rather learn, for me, a different skill. When I trade, it's more like lifetime for me. So, you know, risk management, money management, portfolios and everything. So for me, that's what works. I'm not saying this doesn't work. You can absolutely do a killing, but you got to find right coins. Okay, guys, you got to research like crazy.
Yeah, there's different ways to do this.
Absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, to your point and what you're talking about, it's hard to find those gems. It really is. I've kind of changed my stance on how I even go about it.
Okay.
It's so like we said, it's hard to find good coins and good projects, but it's easy to find bad ones.
Correct.
It's easy to find ones with bad tokenomics, bad teams, fake pumps or whatever. So I look more for bad projects now and try to short them.
That is very smart, and I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea, actually, when you look at it.
I'm long in things, you know, long and short, but that's really, and I think, you know, I think we'll still have an alt season and somewhat of a blow off top and a euphoric stage of the market. I think we'll still get that. But even then, I'm still thinking that the real money to be made is in the bear market on the downfall, because some things will pump. And if Bitcoin goes, we hit a euphoric phase, more or less all alts will pump to a degree. The good ones will pump a whole lot. Other ones will pump a little bit. But when the bear market comes, they're all going to fall. All of them. There's never been
absolutely. You know, Ron, can I tell you something? When it came to Omi, I think every single person that invested in Omi or the Omi token in the very beginning were wealthy. Problem is, everybody did not want to short because they wanted to continue the ride, right? So at the end of the day, Omi was a great project, and I can still believe it is a great project to an extent. But in the beginning, think about how much people, if they exited exactly where they wanted to, how much money do you think a lot of these guys would have had, right? So it's also about like the greed factor, but also exiting positions. I think that's another thing a lot of people need to get used to when it comes to trading. or even investing
Exactly.
in. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you about Omi later in the stream, because I know there's
Yeah,
people
yeah.
following that want to hear your thoughts on it. It's always so controversial. People always want to talk
Yeah.
about it and hear
You
people's
know,
thoughts.
you know what I'm gonna do, Ron? Just to be very transparent with the group and the people here, when I do fully exit all my bags on Omi, I will make a video and I will legitimately exit all my tokens in the video, and you guys can fully see that transaction. So until I do that, I'm always gonna hold Omi. I don't care if it goes to zero. I think the probability is going to be less because it should have already been at the very bottom or even low, or this coin should have been gone. I think there's still a base behind it. I think there's a lot of great people behind it. The community, when you look at the people that are surrounding the token, I truly do believe in them in a heartfelt way. So because of that, I'm just going to hold on to it, and it's been a dear coin of mine for now.
Yeah, I see all these accusations. I saw it in like your last video. Somebody in the comments wrote something about how you dump him, manipulating price, and I'm like, that is so ridiculous. Like, if you guys only knew him, and
Yeah.
like that's just not his game, and even the liquidity out there, that's not really, there's not enough volume in Omi for you to really
Correct.
sink your teeth in and like all that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
people love to say
I actually
manipulation.
make more money. I was sorry about that, Ron, but I make more money trading what is it, Ethereum and Bitcoin, just because of volume and the liquidity and all of that.
Yeah.
I make more money trading that and Omi token. The reasons why I want to pay homage to Omi, this channel was based on Omi in the beginning. Because of that, you guys built the foundation of me getting into YouTube or trying to pursue this YouTube career with a meme coin, or not a meme coin, but a coin that was dear to my heart. And I just liked everything about it at the very get-go. I think everybody had that heartfelt moment. So because of that, I invested very, very heavily. And I truly do believe it has great potential. But once again, guys, I'm not going to dump the coin. If I do dump it, I promise you guys, I will make a video and you guys can physically see the transaction and how much coins I have and how much coins I'm taking out of the market.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up Omi later in the stream. I know lots of people tune in. They want to hear your thoughts. But since we're on the subject already and everything like that, we'll go ahead and talk about it now for a minute. The thing with Omi and me, and I kind of try to distance myself from speaking about Omi publicly and distance myself from that whole community, honestly. There's a lot of good people in it.
There's a lot of hate.
Yeah,
There's a lot of hate with that coin. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so toxic. Well, I was even talking to Wendy O about some things and brought it up, and she knew the community was toxic. I mean, she's one of the biggest influencers in the game, you know, like 500,000 followers on Twitter, and she was aware of the toxicity over
You know
there.
what's crazy here, Ron? That when this coin starts to go up, everybody's going to become your best friend. Everybody's going to say, you believed in the coin. I knew you were always the guy to hold the coin, all of this fun stuff, right?
So, not me. I haven't held Omi in a long time. The reason, it's not that I'm overly bearish on it, or David, you said this, the team didn't come through with that. That's what you see a lot of people saying and talking about it. For me, it's a lot simpler than that. You know, I'm very plugged into the crypto space. You know, I'm not doing no forex or anything like that. And when it's not bull market and crypto, I'll do like Euro USD and forex. That's really the only pair that I've ever really liked to trade. I just don't really care for forex that much.
Correct.
But I'm really plugged into crypto. You know that.
Yeah.
And in crypto, you know, it's going to move largely by narrative. You know, all the AI coins are going to, or 90% of them are going to pump. If NVIDIA puts out good earnings statements, you know, gaming coins will generally pump all. You know what I mean? Like, it's very narrative driven, and that's how I diversify my portfolio. You know, I kind of look at it like a mutual fund almost. You know, I'm going to put 30% in AI coins. 20% in RWA, you know, 20% gaming.
Go where the attention is, right?
Right. And Omi, if I had to classify it as something, I'd say it's an NFT coin. There has yet to be an NFT coin to really have much success. It's not just Omi. Ape, which is like, I mean, tied to one of the most successful NFT projects in the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. It's done horrendous. It's done horrible. Pingu, the one for Pudgy Penguin, there's been a lot of hype come out. I know a lot of influencers talk about it. Look at the chart. It's just a straight down ever since it came out. So then Chili's, that's another one that hasn't really done anything. So NFTs are a tough game within itself, and then crypto altcoins are a tough game in itself. So then you combine a
Yeah.
crypto altcoin on an NFT project. It just hasn't really yielded that kind of results yet. Now, could Omi, because of the IP, transcend that? They could, but I'm not really betting on the outlier when I think there's easier things in front of me with these AI and gaming projects and RWA and stuff like that. There's just easier ways to get there for me to bet on a what if.
Yeah. For me, Ron, I'm going to be honest. Whenever I bet on a project, it's strictly a part of me bets on the CEO and the founders. That's the other thing. How badly do they love this project, and are they willing to die for this company? If I see they're willing to do anything in their power, and I see transactions of everyday life of what they're doing, and I see them really focused on this is their baby, I would honestly bet on that, because I understand what it means to create your own business and what you would do for your business, right? So because of that, I just see humble people behind this project, and that's what's driving the narrative for me to kind of hold on to this project as well. That's the fundamental aspect of the project. The other thing that I want you to realize is when you look at Grand Theft Auto 6 or, Grand Theft Auto, it's coming out, right? But it's been delayed for how long? But I promise you one thing, when it does come out, so much people are going to go buy that game. A lot of people. And I think that is going to be the new wave. When I say the new wave, think about it. You all get to start in an equal platform. And whatever money you make in the game, there's going to be a way, a tokenomics. I feel it. There's going to be a way that you could cash that out in real USD. I just feel it. It has a gut feeling. So there's going to be something like that, and it takes time. Great things take time, guys. You're in an industry where there's competitive attributes every single day. So, I'm okay waiting this long. Even with Bitcoin, when it was at 79 cents to $100 to whatever it's at now, for those that sold Bitcoin at that time, look at the regret they have, right? Same concept for me with Omi. I just holding on to it will let me sleep better at night than to sell it all and knowing that it could have reached $5 or so. That's the way I like to look at it.
Like, what's the risk, the opportunity cost of not holding it?
Yeah.
Something that could go up like that. Yeah, I agree with that. And to your point about the business side of it, I think in crypto, a lot of people are like, well, what's the utility behind it? What is, they're kind of looking for a real project, not just vaporware.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, this is a real business. VV is a real business. Now, on the flip side of that, they have overhead. They have bills to pay and all those kinds of things and stuff. And that's why for me, it's not so much as the team didn't do that, because that's mostly what you see. You got kind of talk, toxicity back and forth, people saying they didn't do. In crypto, people say a lot of shit and don't do it. Like that happens all the time.
I see it often.
Yeah, it's just so many people had such high hopes for the project, and it did do good. It was one of the biggest pumps last when that listed on Uniswap, did a 10x in a week. But since then it's been all down, and that's where the disappointment comes in, because a lot of people, they expected more because of all the IP, and that's another thing. In crypto, IP has yet to shown like IP involved in your project helps with bigger gains, because the IP, they have to get paid too. So all this money's got to come from somewhere.
Correct.
So
correct.
Yeah, there's some good things and bad things about it. For me, in Omi, in the second market cycle, most things that I'm holding, looking for big gains, and this is just crypto. They're get the biggest gains in the first market cycle. That's just what it is. And it's not that I don't think Omi can't still do good, but it's been in such a downtrend for such a long time. I mean, on chart, it doesn't look good.
Correct. No, it has been a downtrend, and you're absolutely right. Right. What I hope people do realize that when you're investing into a project, if you're not investing your life savings into it, you're not going to be negative about it, because you understand the risk to reward, and you're going to say to yourself, it's worth it. But once you start risking a huge amount that you cannot afford, this is where people start to get emotional with the coin. This is where they start to attack founders and people or YouTubers that are talking about the coin, because they're saying, well, it's going down, it's your fault. Right. But when it goes up, all they're going to do is give you a like on your channel and say, good job. Right. At the end of the day, this is a love, two sides of a coin. Right. The best way to win anything in life is just risk what you can afford to lose. Don't risk more. And that's like the main bottom line behind this all. And if people could take that advice, I think that advice alone can make a difference in your mindset when it comes to trading or even investing.
Is Omi the only? Is Omi the only coin you hold based off of fundamental purposes, just because you think of the?
Yeah, well, I'm just very basic when it comes to it, like ADA, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I like guaranteed coins. Like just say, I know for a fact if Bitcoin goes down, everything kind of goes down. So I go for the guaranteed coins. But of course, people do not have enough to buy Bitcoin. So I rather buy a coin of something, like a full coin of something. So Ethereum is the other option. But if you can't afford Ethereum, there's so much other coins, guys. When you look at the top performers, you could just go to the list and just go to the top performers and just look at the dip, but then use your TA skills and then buy the dip, right? Well, look at all the top 10 performers and then go for that. If you like gaming, go to strictly to the gaming side. It's up to you, but find a coin or stuff that you're passionate about. I would say that's the key because then you're driven by it. But I'm very basic, Ron. I would say Bitcoin and Ethereum is my real big holdings, I would say.
Right on. Yeah, like I
Especially
said,
with Yeah, especially with the tariffs and what's going around the world, right? With the war and what was happening with India and Pakistan, or what's happening with Ukraine and Russia and everything, right? Israel, just so much differences in like volume when it comes to transactions of money and goods and stuff. Tariffs are going to be placed around everywhere, so you got to be realistic here. You know, people are going to be wanting money, so I just try to invest the right way. Try to go to things that are consistent and that can actually bring you profits. That's the way I like to do it. Doesn't mean you cannot do it other ways. Of course you can. I have a friend that sells beans from Africa to like Uruguay, and he makes money. So whatever you got to do, you got to do, right?
selling
But
beans.
be
Hey,
consistent. Yeah, be consistent. That's the real approach here.
let's look at some of the comments. So Randy Ray said, "John helped me change my life."
Yes,
Yeah,
Randy,
John's helped a lot of people out here. Love you both. Appreciate you, man.
appreciate you as well. Yeah,
Walls, the goat. That's my right hand guy right there.
there you go.
Danny the Bull in the house. What's
Danny
up?
is the man. I've been watching Danny recently as well.
Yeah, me and Danny, we do a lot of streams together. Try to kind of
No,
like
absolutely.
we started
Sam is
the.
one of my students. I of course I adore you, Sam. Thank you for tuning in.
How many students you got now?
Uh, to be honest, I do have a lot. If Right now, as much as I have a set amount of students, I do help previous students as well when they contact me. So right now, I would say roughly around, let's just say a good 40 for this year.
Oh wow, yeah. Because
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
I,
I
we don't talk
dedicate my
a whole lot.
time.
We don't talk
Well,
a whole lot. We like drop each other a message on WhatsApp sometimes, but this is the first time we've like talked in quite a while.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do this often. I really want to look at coins. We were talking about this, me and Ron, actually. We were maybe coming a date that makes sense for both of us, and come online and whatever coins you guys want us to do, you list it in the comments, and maybe we could just go do a rapid fire and tell you guys what my perspective is and give you guys a TA analysis on it, and it'll be really quick or something like that. If you guys
Yeah.
want to see that, we can always do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let us know in the comments. Me and John talked about maybe doing something once a week if his schedule allows. So that'd be great, and we can just go back and forth doing TA on different coins and so forth. But
Yeah, me
speaking
and
of,
Ron have different ways of trading too. I feel like a little bit of a structural difference, but I love that. I think differences also gives us key elements of what we're both looking at. So I kind of like looking at charts with another trader, him like Ron himself, and do your analysis together. I think that'll be fun. That'll be really fun.
both price action guys for sure, but you're using some tools in some of your videos recently that I'm not even really familiar with. So if you want to bring up some assets, share your screen or whatever, and try to take us to school on some things, we're all
Yeah,
ears.
yeah. So before we get started, just to ask the people whoever is watching here today, how informed are you guys about volume? Can we get any kind of description? Are you guys good with volume, or are you guys understanding what volume trading is? Just to curiosity before we get started here. And I do want to teach you guys something, so I want to bring some kind of value because I do believe your time is precious to me and Ron, and I want to make sure I can give you guys some kind of value here.
Yeah, and I'm a big volume person too, John. I believe in volume. The lady who wrote kind of the book on volume, Anna Cooling, I did a
Yes,
live stream with her.
I seen it. I loved it.
Mhm. Yeah, we
That
talked
was a
about.
great live stream. I truly love that. I think that was a lot of key topics that you got to rewatch it twice. I feel like if you really want to get all the information that you guys were talking about. I truly loved it. Yeah.
Well, volume can be your best friend. The exchange, they can't hide the volume. That's the thing. Like, and the volume should match the candle. And that's the way you can tell like how many orders are taking place. Just for like one kind of little example. Say you've had lots of down candles, downtrend, uptrend, doesn't matter. And say you're starting to get little candles with big volume at the bottom of like as you know as it trends down. That's a good sign that it's coming to an end, because what's happening there is you get a big volume bar, but the candle bar is small. That means a lot of orders took place, but price didn't move that much. So what's happening is changing hands. Is people selling the bottom heavy, smart money buying it heavy, and that's what you're starting to see. You know, retail, they're always so scared of a V-shaped reversal. You know, you should really bet against V-shaped reversals. They're more rare. They're not as common. I mean, they can happen just like anything can happen.
And Ron, you're right on the money there. Yeah, you're right on the money there.
It's like turning a cruise ship around, or a big, you know, something like that. It's tough to turn something around like that. But as you start to see what I just described, little candle bodies with big volume bars, that can let you know that the ship's starting to try to turn around.
Correct. And what Ron is basically saying, what a great way of putting it, is just another word of looking at, if we have so much orders, how is price not able to move further down? Another word is that this is the key topic of absorption. And what is happening here is limit orders. If you guys are using heat maps or some kind of book maps to look at hidden orders, you could see that these are areas where liquidity are lying. And when they're lying there, they're using limit orders to hold the penetration from the selling pressure. And this is giving that rejection and making the candle small, but the volume big. And this is a sign identifying your key areas that we're slowly going to get that reversal. Technically, with this, you still want to use other precautions like structures, zones, and all of these fun stuff. But once you use that with the element of the market, guys, you're making huge amount of successful gains here. But the problem is people have to put this into practice, and you got to stick to the rules. The other problem that I face with a lot of people is once one rule doesn't matter or match, people will still take the trade. You got to have a set primary rule book and stick by it. Make it like your golden, holy trading Bible, let's just say. You got to stick by the rules, and that's the only way to progress in trading. It's the only way. You got to be consistent, but you got to understand what to do.
I agree. Yeah, and I don't use much. I just pretty much just read candles, and I like refer to RSI sometimes just to kind of like second check or further confirmation or something. I mean, I know how to, MACD, Ichimoku, whatever.
Correct.
But really, I just read the candles, and then sometimes I look at RSI as like a check, because like sometimes you get like maybe getting breakout price action and just going for a while. And I'm like, well, the daily on the RSI is like over 80, so this might be getting a little overheated, or something like that.
Correct.
But generally speaking, I just read the candles. But if you want to share your screen, John, and
absolutely. Let's dive in. I'll come back in and out, so we'll just go into that. Let's just go into it. Okay. So perfect. We're on the screen here. So does everybody want me to look at Omi real quick and just kind of go through this with you guys here? Okay. Now, what I like to do when I first start off with Omi is just I like to keep my chart pretty blank. Okay. Why am I saying that? I don't want too much noise. I don't want my chart to look like an airplane navigation system, if that makes sense, guys. I just wanted to keep it really simple. And trading should be simple. All these wicks over here, I just want you guys to really realize this concept here. These wicks are telling me a story. I know a lot of people look at these wicks and say, well, we're getting rejected. Price does not want to go down anymore, or it doesn't want to go up in this case scenario, so we're going to look to sell. In this case scenario, prices did go down, but I want to give you guys a real key idea here that I want to share with you guys, okay? So if I have a zone here, and I want to test your knowledge here, guys, okay? And I want you guys to really understand what I'm going to show you here. If I have a breakout candle here with a big wick, and all of a sudden I see volume here picking up really heavy on the top and then dies out. This is a very bad volume, but you guys can see the idea. There's heavy volume on the top and very low volume on the bottom. Now, what I want to explain here, guys, is price is attracted to volume. This is where a lot of people need to understand. There's a better chance that this price action is actually going to go up than down. Even though it could retest structure, there's no volume for it to continue down. So in order for price to continue up, or in order for it to continue down, there must have been volume, but there's no volume in this case scenario. Because of that, price is attracted to going into volume, thus giving us the confirmation that price is going to print out another bullish candle. This plays out all the time. Even though we have a high volume bar, does not mean the price is going to go up. I like to look at internal structures within the candle to identify key structures for it to go up or down. I hope that made sense. Let me know in the comments below, guys. I can try to explain that again and maybe look at some ideas on the chart as well if you guys really want.
Yeah, and like you were talking about the wicks, everything's situational. Just because it's an upper wick doesn't mean it's necessarily a top or it's bearish or something like that.
Correct.
Have you ever heard of a trader named Rob Huffman?
I might most likely have seen him or heard. Well, I never really heard about him. Maybe I've seen a picture of him. But please do tell.
He's won more trading competitions than anybody.
Oh, okay. I know it now. Okay, yeah.
He used to be a cop, and he came up with his own trading strategy. And when you talk about the wicks, it just made me think of it. There's some other conditions that have to be met, but it's very counterintuitive what he does. If there's a candle with kind of a longer upper wick, he puts a order to enter above the wick of that candle.
Absolutely.
And his theory is that if you get that kind of formation, like I said, it's not just the upper wick. There's some other conditions have to be met. But what has happened is, and he's not trading small cap cryptos either. He's trading,
absolutely,
whatever, things with a lot of liquidity. So he's like, if something causes that means a big player got out of the market.
Correct.
Like somebody holding a lot. Like these institutions, they're very, I don't know the right word, I guess. Like it's like a job to them. They're going to we need to sell a certain amount of shares or what. So he's like, that shows like a big institution or big players got out of the market. So if price goes back up to that and eclipses that, then the big seller is gone and it should keep going. And that's his strategy. And he's won more trading competitions than anybody. Just when you're talking about the wicks, it made me think of that.
The simplest way of really winning is finding a strategy that works, sticking with it no matter what. I think a lot of traders get this ideology that, you want to learn everything. Sure, having the knowledge behind everything it's helpful, but applying everything at once is just going to screw up a lot of your ideas overall. I think sticking to the principles and the basics is going to be the very most important thing, especially when it comes to the keys of trading. Okay, so even when I look at Omi, guys, and I want to just show you guys how simple it could truly be. I put my volume profile. I always go to the highest time frame, whatever the time frame could be or should be, right? Whatever time frame you want. You see, there's a reason why, and I want you guys to really understand this. There's a reason why these peaks exist. What do you guys think these peaks are telling us? These are telling us that majority of the times the volume or transactions wanted to take part here. That means majority of the time the price stayed in these volume zones. And when volume stays in these primary zones, what does that mean? We want to take action. We want to start trading. We want to initiate our sells and buy orders exactly at this position. Why would I want to do anything else? Or I want to target these areas. These are areas where volume wants to travel to. So once again, the way I like to look at it is low volume to high volume, right? And when you look at low volumes are going to be these peaks right here, or these valleys. Let's just consider those valleys. And these are the peaks right here, guys. If I'm looking for an area right here and I'm looking to sell, I'm not going to be expecting to sell all the way to the bottom. I want to sell to the next area where we have the highest volume of liquidity there, because I don't know if we're going to break below. The problem with a lot of people is they don't realize this. They'll hold on to the trade, and sometimes the wick might come back up, take you out of your trade, even though you had the right idea. So if you guys can understand the volume is king, price wants to travel to volume. It's like you're going fishing. If you catch a fish, would you rather just sell it to your friend or go to a fish market? This is the same concept of the market, guys. If you catch something in the market, you want to go to a big location to sell that object. You don't want to hold it and sell it to your neighbor because maybe one day he wants it, the next day he doesn't. So what are you going to do with that item, right? You want to go to a marketplace that can value it for higher, and then you want to sell it for those people right there. I hope that concept made sense for you guys right there.
Yeah, and I used volume profiles before
Mhm.
with Bitcoin, especially, and yeah, it's kind of like using a heat map. Like the price tends to go to
Correct.
yeah, the like in the heat maps, the like places of liquidity. With the volume profile, it tends to go to like where those high volume
Yeah.
nodes are very
And
often.
right to the point here, Ron, when you look at this, right, and this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, if you notice where price reverse, where did it reverse? At a key level, a key volume point, right? These points are going to be key reversal areas. So even if I'm looking here, price broke here, and what I would do is I'll study the structure right here. We're failing to break below. That's a great sign. Why is this a great sign? Because now I can look to start buying the market to where right there. I'm now going to identify a structure. This is it, guys. This is how I enter the market every single time. I look for low volume and I'm attacking high volume aggressively. I don't care if it's 5%, 3%, 4%. I'm attacking aggressively, understanding that this is going to be my pinnacle exiting position. So for this case scenario, I'm going to look into the structure of the candle and say to myself, what is happening with price here? Well, let's talk about it. I want to individually put my volume profile on this candle right here. I'm going to go to the settings just to make sure it's not extended, right? And what do we notice here? Well, let's talk about it here. Let's refresh the chart, go to the 4 hours, come back to the daily just to make sure the volume looks good. And let's talk about this here. What do we notice here? Well, we notice one thing. Let's do it one more time. I just want to make sure the volume looks clear. Now, the volume is not the best here, but it's okay. But you guys can see one major thing here. Do you see the volume on the top? How flat it is? What does that show me? There is absolutely no interest at the top. And if there's no interest at the top, what do you think price wants to do? Does it want to go higher? Look at the top of all these candles, guys. I'm going to explain this to you. Look at the tops of all of these candles, and we're going to talk about each individual candle here, okay? Let me refresh. Always refresh the chart because sometimes the data doesn't load. And right here, the only candle showing me interest that price wanted to go higher was this candle. That's the only candle. Every other candle showed me that we had structures, or right here, you guys could see for yourself right there, the price was slowing down. This is what we call exhaustion in the market. This is what we're calling continuation. We had follow through. Problem with the follow through, it hit structure, it hit POC. And if it hit POC, we cannot break above that. So we failed. After that, look at every single candle after that. Every single time price tried to go up, it was exhausted. And if volume's not at the top and it's at the bottom, where do you think price is more attracted to go? Guys, obvious. It wants to go down.
Means
Only
no
reason
one,
why it wants to go
yeah,
down,
it means
because
only sell orders are taking place up there. There's not
yeah,
people. There's not a lot of orders transacting back and forth. There's like it
think
gets up
think
there,
about
and
it.
then people just want to sell.
Perfect. But think about this, guys. Everyone think about this, right? Pretend you have an item. You're going to the wrong market to sell that item. Each time you go to that market, no one's willing to buy that item. This is that same transaction. You go with the pair of shoes and you're going to a skateboard rally or whatever, and you're trying to sell your pair of shoes. No one's interested. There's no volume for those shoes right here. There's no volume here. There's no volume here. Of course, now we're trying to pick it up and see where price is going to go. But I'll tell you something about smart money right now. I know that me, as this great trader, trying to show you guys something, I am not going to pursue anything above this. Why would I? Because for the past 3 times, I know we failed. For the past 3 times, guys, I know this area failed. How am I going to guarantee we're going to get more volume past that level? I don't. So because of that, if I am buying, I will never bypass this level of 0.0002429. It's just very simple because I understand what? There's no volume. There's no principle. There's no one wanting to trade or transact above that level. Okay. If volume is more on the bottom, guys, guess what? There's a particular style, the price, like take a look, there's internal volumes within a candle. You can see there's a volume zone right there. Small move right there to this POC of this candle. And then guess what? We could get a reversal. We could see what price is doing. So if I put the volume here on this candle, you can see it's very fragment. It's very small. But the one good news with this one, you could see it's kind of depleting, but it's still, there is some volume here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go a little bit lower touch these levels and then get an exhaustion candle before we go up. So would I enter this trade right now? No, absolutely not. Because why? I see volume, right? If I'd seen volume like this run right here, and to everyone watching, you see how it's exhausted right there? You see how the price is exhausted to going lower? That's why the market went up, because it didn't have transactions to go lower, right? And the same thing is happening up here, guys. Look, these 3 candles are showing me they're exhausted. So in this time-based meaning, I'm not looking to buy long-term. If I ever buy, it's a short scale buy. And to be honest with you guys, as sad as this might be, there's a better projection of another move down before we go up. And that's the truth. And I cannot tell you guys this market's going to moon to the sky. I'm just looking at TA, and I'm keeping it strict to my strategy that has made me a lot of money. And that's what I'm going to do here. And I hope that makes sense for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and I've never used that tool, right? I mean, I've used volume profiles, but not on the individual candle like that, because that's a really useful tool, because it does show you, like you just demonstrated on these wicks. That's where it's important. Like when you see on the wicks, and
correct.
So if you were getting a wick, a long upper wick, lower, that doesn't matter, upper wick, lower wick, and you were getting high volume on the tails of the wick, the upper or lower tails, well, that's letting you know that at that time, just say it's the upper wick. Well, a lot of people were still trying to buy, even though it got sold down. And that shows that there is demand up there. There is people willing to buy.
Correct.
There. But if you see like you're showing just flat, nothing, then nobody wants to buy it up there. It gets there, and then people are trying to G quick and get out.
Perfect. And Ron, you know what the real truth here? Let me demonstrate this last thing for you guys here, and I'll show you guys this. If I put my volume profile and I'm seeing this structure right here, if I had this structure right here, and I'm looking at this, I can see this volume attraction towards the top. Problem with this is I cannot buy, because what did it do last? Think about it logically, guys. I want to give you guys a hint here. We just came to a key structure of a POC, point of control, the highest point in the chart. If I come to a POC with the highest point in the chart, even though we have volume, look at the candle, it closed bullish. Even though it closed bullish and there's transaction of buyers, guess what? Because we hit this last, the next hand is for the sellers to sell, not to buy. If this zone was not here, there's a 90% chance the next probability of the candle could have been bullish and we could have gone back up, right? This is how simple trading is. If you can understand what I'm just giving these key tips of, is there follow through? Think about this right here, guys. Whenever a candle prints, look at the top of the candle. If it's a selling candle, look at the bottom. Buying candle, look at the top, and say to yourself, what did it do last? In life, everybody talks about how to get a head start, but it's actually how you finish. And this is why it's important to look at the candles the same way. How did the candle finish? The story is not done until the candle is fully finished. You can have a whole story within it, a narrative within it, but remember, the candle's to manipulate you. You can have a lot of indecisive things inside the candles to screw with your mind and say to yourself, well, I want to sell, I want to buy, I want to do this. Just keep it simple. What did the candle do last? Was there interest? Was there follow through? Or did it get exhausted? If it's exhausted, are you really going to? And this is one of the things I tell my students. If the market exhausted, are we going to get a pullback for your vehicle to get gas before we go up? Or are we going to continue going up? Of course, if the market is exhausted and there's no volume left, we're getting a pullback, guys. Why buy the market when the volume is low? There has to be interest for us to continue the price up. Okay.
Yeah. And I say the same thing to people on Telegram all the time, John. Wait for the candle to close. And so to further on that point, well, which candle to close, Ron? Well, it depends on what time frame you're looking at. The higher the time frame, the better the confirmation, generally speaking.
Correct. Correct.
But it also, look at what time of day it is. If it's around the time the New York session's opening, and you get an hourly candle closing on its high, breaking above the structure to the left, that's probably good confirmation that, well, at least in the short term on an hourly basis, it's going to go up or whatever. But it's where that candle closes. And if you're making decisions, especially big decisions with like larger portions of your bag, because like that's how a lot of people in crypto do it. They buy, they hold, they're looking for the bull market blow off top or whatever. And that's how a lot of people do it in crypto.
Correct. And I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to trading, they look at volume. And I'm going to go back to my screen and I'm going to show you guys this. Just want to see if you guys have any other questions before I get back into the screen to show you guys what a fake out looks like. And this can help you with a lot of your positions. Even if you learn this little topic that I'm going to share with you, you guys can start making some good money, right? Good investments. Remember, it's not financial advice. I always have to say that. Whatever you do is whatever you guys do. But I hope you guys do use it in educational base. Back test it. Always back test what I'm saying, and you guys will be super, super shocked in the outcome that you guys can get. I've been doing this for a long time. I love what I do, and it's very encouraging to see a community full of traders or wanting to be traders or investors in general. But I really want you guys to benefit out of these type of videos. And, this is the point where me and Ron are trying to share with you guys. I want you guys to benefit and try to use this the right way.
Yeah, and like I was saying with people who in crypto, a lot of time they build bags, they want to hold on for the top of the bull market or whatever. And for that, you really want to go off weekly time frames. You want to go after the weekly close. Daily you can, if it's looking strong and you're getting like a good close above structure on the daily candle close on its high, that can be good. But that's the decision you have to make. Am I going to take confirmation off of a lower time frame and make my decision off of that?
Correct. And Ron, you're absolutely right, because what I like to tell a lot of my students is I give them the scenario. You want to travel the world. If you want to travel the world, are you going to look at the country first, or are you going to go to the city first? Right? You got to look at the country, right? Then you want to go to the city you want to visit in the country. Then you want to go to the street of the city in the country that you're visiting. You don't go to city.
Look at the weekly and then drill down.
Absolutely. And that's the same concept with traveling, right? You want to travel, and markets are traveling too. Do it the right way, and no shortcuts. If you find shortcuts, you're going to find a shortcut out of it as well. So I would say you want longevity in this, take it seriously, and you'll see the outcome. Okay. Awesome. No, this is really good, Ron. I like talking about this. I think it's always fun to talk about crypto or just trading in general. It's
I talk about this shit all day.
Yeah, no, it's a cool place. I love it. You can never get bored about this. I really can never get bored.
No, this is my life, man. That's what I do. And I could talk about it all day. I talk about it with Danny on streams. Like, man, I can ramble about whatever you want all day. Crypto, Bitcoin. I can explain Bitcoin real good. I can talk about trading. I can talk about AI, new projects, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm all in on the space.
No, I love it. I even talk about like investments in general. I talk to like in my group chat with other students I have that are like 21-year-olds and stuff. They always ask me questions. How can I start? And you know what, Ron? I want to give you maybe a tricky question for you. If a younger version of you came up to you, asked you personally, what can I do to get started to become wealthy in a sense? What kind of advice would you give if you had to say?
I'd refer them to some books. I think that's a good place to start. Some good, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a classic. I'll tell you one that's not as well known. The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay,
that's a real good one. It's written kind of like, sounds like it's like Bible kind of talk, like kind of written like that, but it's still pretty easy to read. It's a text that they found in Babylon a long time ago, and it still applies today. Where some of the key points are like, keep 10% of your earnings to pay yourself with, and use that 10% to, like using that as your employee to make you money, and then use that to make money and stuff like that. So,
no, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good book to read.
Those are great. Okay, so what kind of advice would you give? Let's talk about that. I love the book advice because I think that's a good way for a lot of people to go because it's structured. It gives you hints of ideas that you should follow. But what kind of advice would you give if it was just strictly to you, other than books? Let's go with that.
Like with TA and stuff like that?
In general, pretend a younger version of you came up to you and said, hey, look, I want to become wealthy. What can I do?
Like, well, if you get into crypto, just buy Bitcoin. Don't mess with these altcoins because
that's a good one.
That's one thing. And don't try to get rich overnight.
The lottery effect, right? A lot of people don't realize that you make money so quick, and then you think you're gonna have it for life. If you don't have any literacy when it comes to finance, you're not gonna keep that money. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose it all overnight. Trust me.
If you're getting into markets, put it in slowly. You know, you like people come to me sometimes. Like, I got $10,000 I want to put in crypto. What do I do? You know, they want to put the whole 10,000 in right now, or
Gosh,
20,000, whatever the case is.
gosh.
And then you want to slowly do those things.
Yeah. You know, the best advice I could give when it comes to like coins that are very new, just look at attention. What coin has a lot of attention? And yeah, attention could also be negative if it's the wrong people scamming or promoting a coin. I get that. But look for attention and see if everybody's kind of learning it or understanding what this coin is, right? Attention really drives the market. So if you are looking for altcoins, that's my approach when I look at altcoins. Attention is key for me. What kind of advice would you say there for you?
Yeah. And see, you keep in mind when John says that, because a lot of people in crypto, they have the mindset, I'm buying now and I'm holding for maximum value.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people will look at it like, you're not looking at it like that.
No.
You're this is hot right now. I'm going to buy it today. I may sell it tomorrow,
Yeah,
or in a week from now, or whatever the case is.
correct.
So I just want to clarify that, because that's not how a lot of people in crypto, they're buying it and they want to hold for maximum value at the top of the bull market.
Correct.
That is how a very large percentage of people operate in this space.
I don't work off of what if, I want what is. So what is in my bank account when I withdraw the coin? Not what if it gets to this point, I want to withdraw the coin, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people watch and they want to be millionaires and billionaires, and they want to live a lifestyle and say to their family, look what I did, look what I did. Guys, you could do that just by trading and being consistent for like 2-3 months of just, after you're learning it, of course, 2-3 months of being consistent, you could start to accumulate some kind of skill. Remember, trading is a skill. Do you really want to make a lot of money in one shot and then say to your friends, oh, look, this is how much money I made, and they're going to depend on you? And then what are you going to do when you cannot do it again, when you cannot repeat that lucky shot that you had, right? So I always say, learn something that's going to be valuable, and it's going to pay. It's going to pay dividend in the end. So that's the way I like to look at it.
And, try to learn this game. Even if you're not going to be a trader, you still need to learn these basic things. You need to learn TA.
Absolutely.
You need to learn some indicators, what these things are saying, EMAs. And, this is a lesson that you taught me a long time ago, John. Because I was like, when it comes to EMAs and some of these indicators, like, I see some things saying, the 20 EMA on this, but then I hear about, Bitcoin, the 50 week or whatever. Like, what is it, John? Like, is there a magical EMA or whatever? And you probably don't even remember what you told me. You were like, here's what generally happens with an asset. That in the beginning there's a whale or two in it, and they're kind of set the path of, maybe they like MACD, I don't know, or they like the 20-week EMA or something like that, and they'll kind of set the tone with some of those, whatever it is. It could be an indicator, technical, like MACD or something like that. It can be an EMA, it could be some kind of crossover strategy, and then other traders will see what worked, and then they'll pick up on that, and then the trail just continues to kind of get blazed by that. And that's why it can shape certain assets with certain, whether it's EMAs or indicators or whatever. And that's a pretty good thing to know and to learn. It's definitely one of the best things I picked up from.
Awesome. No, I love that. And, this is the key. Like, what I really wanted to do, a part of me wants to get like random novice people that don't know anything about trading and try to go through a boot camp and maybe record all the videos with them. This is something that I was thinking about. Maybe we'll see what the community thinks about this. Maybe I grab 20 people randomly. We'll do like a set time, and then we can all do Zoom at one given time. And then, we could record the sessions, and we'll see by the end of a month or two how much they learn and if they could put it into play, and how much money they could truly make by the end of the year trading the styles that me and Ron both share in trading. I think that would be kind of cool to see what people could picture in the end. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
If you have time for it, I know you're very busy.
Yeah. Or Ron, I was thinking about another thing. Whoever is a trader here that knows how to trade, maybe we should do a competition. We all grab 5 people out of a hat, and then we try to teach those 5 people how to trade, and then they compete against each other, and the winner gets like a stake prize or something. I'm not too sure. I just want to have fun with it. And I want to build a community of great traders. I just think that'll be fun.
It's funny you brought that up because I was thinking about that recently. I do most of my leverage trading alts on MEXC, and I wanted to do a trading competition, and I put it on Twitter
Amazing.
like, hey, see if you can beat me or whatever. And the problem is MEXC, I lost my contact because my affiliate link for MEXC, he works for Blowfin now. So I don't have a contact at MEXC anymore. I'm sure I could get one or figure it out or something like that. But I have been thinking about that. I put something out publicly, having a little trading competition because the exchange itself will put out some rewards for those kinds of things.
Absolutely. And for me, and I bet you too, Ron, I think just helping someone get into the idea of like, look, I know there's a lot of people, they're saying my life is maybe not worth it. I know some students that would tell me that, or I have nothing going for me. I don't know, without a college degree, university degree, I don't know what to do with my life. And I always face those type of students or people that come into my life, and I always want to help them. So as much people I can help, I bet you have the same feeling. I think it's a good feeling just to open their eyes or horizon and show them that there's a other side of the world that you never seen, and maybe that's trading. And I hope that could encourage anyone that's watching or watching this later on, to get started and try trading and see where it goes, and see where that actually leads you. You might be really surprised.
Yeah, and to that point, John, I think you see different stats about this. Generally speaking, it's about 90% of the people who try to be traders fail. Yeah. Sometimes you see higher numbers. Somebody see like 98%.
Yeah.
Means a lot of people are failing at it. There's two ways you can look at that. You can look at it like, oh, everybody that does it doesn't do well, they fail or whatever. Or you can look at it like this. In trading, there's winners and losers. The market is not generating more money. I have to tell people that's about Bitcoin or something. New money is not being printed or generated with Bitcoin. It's only got in stock or whatever. It's only the money that people have put in. So if you're in a game where 90% of new people coming in are losing, that leaves a lot of opportunity if you get good at it and are patient. And that's what it is. That's why traders make a lot of money, because the 10% ish, and like I said, different stats say different things. It's because the 10% are cleaning out the other 90%.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it. Yeah.
And that's why that's why it can be so lucrative, because there's so many losers in it. And a lot of people, they just do stupid things, and they're not patient and stuff like that. And if you think that you can't do it, and
you lost. Once you think you can't do it, you lost. Well, you defeated from the inside out.
If John can do it and make it, and make no mistake, John, if some people have, because sometimes I see these things about you and Omi that say you're like a scammer or something like that. Like John's got money, he doesn't have to scam anybody, and he's self-made. And John, we talked about a story last year. It wasn't public, but I don't think he minds me saying this publicly. John came to Canada as a immigrant from Sri Lanka before he was even 5 years old. Didn't even have any baby pictures. His family fled Civil War. From Southeast Asia to the West, certainly did not have any advantages. Nothing. He did landscaping at a house of a guy who was a Wall Street trader, I think, a retired Wall Street guy.
Ron, you know the story really well.
Yeah. And that's how I think he told the guy, asked him, how'd you make all this money? Could you teach me how to do it? And the guy said, if you do my yard for the rest of the summer and you're never late or something like that, I kind of take you under my wing. And then the rest is history. And because of him coming from Sri Lanka to the West and not really understanding language barriers and stuff like that, I believe you even said you were a more of a not special needs, but slower class or something like that. When you were younger,
special ed, ESL type of thing.
And I'm just saying that because if you think you can't do it, John came from another country, language barriers, economic barriers, was even put in a lesser class at a lower age. And look, it is doable. People can.
No, absolutely, Ron. And I look at a lot of people in this world and how much of a head start they have, but the problem is they're so, and sorry to put it like this, I see a lot of people are so lazy to take action. They have people around their circle that are making good living, but they're scared to ask questions. They're scared to take the initiative. They're scared to do anything like that. But when it comes to having fun, going out with your friends, going to a party, or watching TikTok or Instagram, they're willing to do that right away. No one really wants to take action and do the things that matter. Once you realize that your legacy or whatever you want to build matters to you, you will take action. And I wish people do take action. I think it's a beautiful thing if you can find what you love and just do it. And I feel like trading is something you guys love, or crypto, because you wouldn't be watching this if you don't like crypto or something of that narrative. And I wish people take action. I think if you guys all take actions, you guys will be so much further ahead in life. I truly do believe that.
So is there any other chart you want to look at, or any other indicators you want to school anybody on, or anything like that, John?
Yeah, well, what would is anyone active right now? Or we could just, I could see the comments afterwards, but what would they want me to look at or anything like that? I think when it comes to indicators, well, let's ask the question and then we can.
Yeah, there's anything you guys want to look at TA wise, according to this, between Twitter and YouTube, I think we got 90 people watching, almost 100. So if there's any asset you want me or John to check out,
take a look at.
Yeah, we look at it.
When it comes to indicators, you guys can use any kind of indicator. It could truly work, but it needs to be compared with volume. Okay, if you can't put volume into any kind of strategy, volume's everywhere, guys. You could use the RSI with volume. You could use the VWAP, the MACD. You could use all of these. Divergences are everywhere if you guys like divergence trading, but volume is king. The takeaway from this whole thing is absorption and exhaustion. I'm gonna make sure you guys have that tattooed inside of your brain. But if you guys can understand that concept where limit orders are hidden, right? If you are using heat maps or some kind of book map to understand liquidity areas of where price has transacted, right? You could see that in the book maps and stuff. And those are going to be your limit orders. Whenever price hits those levels, if we're seeing a bounce or rejection with volume, right away we have absorption. Start looking for a reversal. Do not take a reversal out of anticipation, because some traders don't know what they're looking for. You want to see a follow through candle. So if I see a lot of sellers coming, the next candle, if I'm starting to see a lot of buyers coming or interest coming into the market, right away, guys, I'm snapping into the trade and I'm going long. Okay, a lot of key tips there.
Yeah, you just saw about RSI and volume. It made me think about an indicator I actually forgot about, the money flow index, and what that is RSI with volume. I forgot about that. I haven't even looked at that in probably years. I just forgot all about it. And you said that, now I'm gonna start looking at it again.
Yeah, and I think one of the topics was BTC dominance and looking at Bitcoin.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because so it's a hot topic right now, and I talk about it on streams quite a bit. And I sound like a broken record, because I do the TA on it, but I'm like, it's not a tradable asset. So you have to remember, people are not actually buying and selling this, and there's no CFD for it or anything like that. So to my knowledge anyway. So like, people are not trading Bitcoin dominance, but it does still seem to respect technical analysis. And I want to ask your opinion on some indicators like that, like, some of these dominance, USDT as well.
Everything that you're looking at, there has to be some kind of structure. If TAs exist for a reason, any asset, any asset, even if you go on Beans right now, guys, it's going to work off of some kind of TA analysis, right? These patterns have been created for a reason. These structures have been created for a reason. Volume is created for a reason. And areas where volume has been transacted the most, it's been created for a reason. I think if you guys can understand that concept alone, the money is going to be made. Anything can be traded as long as you use the right precautions. It's fine. So BTC dominance, even if you use structure trading, if you look at higher highs, higher lows, look at zones and everything like that with volume profile, it still can be traded. But why not just trade Bitcoin itself, right? I think Bitcoin, if you are always looking to buy, you're always going to be on the good end. Yeah, if you want to sell, you could sell, but you got to know when to sell, right? You don't want to sell and then realize that, gosh, I got out at a bad time, right? A lot of people get into that habit.
Yeah, maybe next video, maybe you can take a look, like you can do it right now on the fly, but next video you do take a look at BTC dominance, because there's some things like some people in the space, some technical analysis, gurus, so to speak, or whatever, they say that it has to hit 70%. I don't see it that way. To me, I see it as making lower highs every cycle. But I'd like to see and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but maybe next video, if you could,
what we could do, that'll be perfect, Ron. We could do a BTC dominance and a list of coins everybody wants to do. We'll maybe take a look at 5 coins and maybe put like a poll out and whoever wants us to look at what, so we have reasonable timing to look at each one and give it a go. I think that'll be helpful for a lot of people. But I feel like Omi might be a topic that a lot of people would want to see. I'm not too sure if you guys still want to look at Omi and go from there. But yeah, in general, we could look at all these type of coins and everything like that, and we could look at trades together and look at precautions and what to look for and how to look at these type of trades.
Yeah,
And
most
if
people,
that helps, that helps. Yeah.
people always want to see Omi. I think there's always,
Yeah.
even though I don't talk about it much, people who follow me, still a lot of people are into it. But I actually have the most people follow me. They're into Medicaid.
Okay.
And that's a gaming project this cycle. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I heard
really
about
big,
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really big on it. So people always want to know, see some analysis on Medicaid.
Then we could do stuff like that too, guys. This is the thing a lot of people need to realize, and I want to put this enlightenment for everybody to understand. When it comes to crypto, it is actually not a hard place to trade. I'll tell you why. If you are watching out for fundamentals, right? If it's not heavy news or a project is not releasing something crazy, you could trade it really well. A lot of the times TA works really well on crypto just because there is new traders, and all these new traders all know the basics, like a flag, a channel and stuff. When it comes to the advanced stuff, that's when you're using footprints. Footprints are internal candles and price action of numbers of transactions in delta. So that means buyers and sellers horizontally. With that information, you're leveling up with the heat map, with volume, then you're becoming a pro into the analysis stage. Right now, a lot of traders just using basic TA, which works, especially for crypto. Once you go into forex, you must level up. If you don't, the sharks are going to get you. You got to have a heads up when it comes to forex and stocks, forex, and futures. You need to have footprints. I would say it helps you the most.
Yeah, forex is a different game. I don't really care for forex as much. You have to have a very different mindset with forex.
The reasons why I do forex, Ron, I'll tell you in my perspective. It's been the only place where nothing really came down negative, right? When it looks at crypto, there's cycles, right? Bull and bear. When bear cycle happens, everybody thinks you got to just keep selling. There's times you could keep buying too, guys, in the bear cycle. And when it's bull cycle, you don't have to always buy. You could sell at certain slots and buy. But I think it confuses a lot of people because once you put cycles names, everybody's just doing that particular thing. So if it's like a bull cycle, everybody's only thinking about buying, and right away you're offside. When I say you're offside, your mindset is wrong. You cannot just think about because it's in that cycle, you should just simply buy. The TA has to combine with that bias. And if it doesn't, you're on the offside. And offside means you're wrong. And when you're wrong, this is where you're going to start crashing out and say to yourself, I missed out on an opportunity. But when it comes to forex, I buy and sell all the time. I don't have to have a seller for a buyer or a buyer for a seller. There's so much liquidity that I could sell right now. I could buy. Yeah. And because of that, I love it. And yes, it's hard if you don't know what you're doing, of course, especially when you're coming from crypto to forex. But I also love futures. I think it's great. All of these assets are great to trade, or these platforms, but you gotta have. I always say this: you gotta have a mentor. Find someone that knows what they're doing, that's willing to teach you the right way, application to that project, and put it into charts and set up the right way, and then you guys are going to make a lot of money. You just got to put it into work. That's all.
Yeah, forex is like where the real big boys go to play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where Bank of America and Wells Fargo are trying to take each other's money from each other. They don't care about your money. They don't care about the traders at all. They're trying to take it from each other. And that's why, forex is very, very day trading centric. So if I don't know if these numbers are right. I heard them a few years ago. I think that I'm right on this. So the New York Stock Exchange, they do like $200 billion in volume a day or something like that, which is a huge amount. But the forex market does like $3 trillion a day or something. To put it in,
I think close to 4 to 5 now, somewhere in there, the ballpark.
Yeah.
And it's a piece of a pie for everyone to get. What I like to do, and this is what I do with a lot of my students now, I set them up with a forex account. With the forex account, once they're making profits, because you could do a prop firm. I think everybody should know about this, or now you guys should know about this. Prop firms are given, especially for a lot of these forex funds. And once you pass the prop firm, you get a set amount. And with that set amount, whatever you want, you could withdraw 80 to 90% of the funds. Once you're in profit, with that profit, guys, put it into crypto, put it into different altcoins, have fun with it. Though that's money that you're able to lose, right? Don't put money that you're not able to lose. And I think if you do it that way, you'll feel more happy, especially with trading.
Yeah,
So
especially when it comes
that's
to
the way.
prop firms, people in other countries. Because I've had people like, well, I don't live in the U.S. or I don't live in
Mhm.
Canada. It's hard for me to get money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where being a prop firm. That's the advice I would give those kinds of people. Like, look into prop
Correct.
firms and what you can afford in your area. And then now the prop firm game is not a given. It is not easy. There can be it can be a little more different than just regular trading because sometimes it depends on the firm. You could have to
Yeah.
close your positions out at the end of the day or the end of the week or
Mhm,
something like
mhm.
that. So sometimes you just can't swing trade something. You have to have a shorter, you have to be ready. If you're getting into Forex, you have to be ready to hop on a 5-minute chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
The way I like to look at it, Ron, even yes, you have to hop on the 5 minute to look at structure, but there's spreads, guys. That's the one thing when it comes to Forex, a lot of people kind of misunderstand. When you're doing the 5 minute, the spreads are so much that even if you take a trade on the 5 minute, it's going to be too much of a spread that you're not going to make a lot of money. When you're going to futures, you could trade the 5 minute for Forex pairs. So you could do futures with Euro USD on futures for the 5 minute, and you can still make the same amount as you would on the daily on Forex. So futures is great if you want to use that, but I think Forex is just so advertised so well, and it's easier to integrate into anyone's lifestyle. You can start making an account right now and start trading Forex right away. That's how easy it is to start trading Forex. So they know you'll lose money because the probability of you winning is really high because a lot of people don't know. But what I'm going to do is I have a lot of my students right now actually doing a prop firms. So maybe once we go down the line, maybe one day I could bring them on and they could share some of their journeys of their prop firms. And maybe they're watching right now, but I think that'll be fun for them to kind of show people that it is possible. Consistency is king. And whatever you do with your money is very good if you have structure. You got to have structure here.
Yeah. And I say the same thing when it comes to structure. I haven't heard you say this exact same thing,
Mhm.
but I'm a big believer in like a 4-stage market cycle
Okay.
that you're gonna get a breakout, then normally it's like a tight channel, and then that turns into more of a broad channel, and then it flattens out into a range, and then the
Mhm.
volatility in the range starts to die down eventually, and then you get the breakout, and then it just goes. It's not
Yeah.
that it's not
Mhm.
like that perfect every time, but
Yeah.
you see it play out. But the thing is, you always want to ask yourself, this is what I put out. Is the
Correct.
market in a breakout or a tight channel? Because in that case, you want to go with the move.
Correct.
Or is it in a broad channel or range? Because if that's the case, you want to go
Yeah.
against the move most likely.
And that's a great way of looking at it, Ron, and I agree with you. This is the one thing I always notice about trading in general. 1 year you could trade flags and you could be 90%. The
Yeah.
next year you could trade flags and you'll be 60%. I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. The market makers, they're going to give you the favor for 1 year and build you this self-esteem to think that you know what you're doing. The next year they're going to switch up their flags every single time. It's going to go against you. And then guess what? You start questioning if trading is for you. And the money that you made the first year, you're going to lose it the second year, and you're going to lose more money on top of that because you think it was just by accident you lost that. It's not. And this is what people don't realize, especially when it comes to Forex. If you're not reading candle by candle, the way I just showed you guys, you're going to be screwed. I'll keep it simple. I'll say it again. If you're not reading candle by candle, you're going to be screwed because strategy sometimes after a year or two, it is gone. It is gone, guys. Why am I saying that? Because sometimes the market makers will change hands to different companies, different banks, different people. And guess what? They have different results. They don't want the same results. That means what? Different patterns. That means different structures. That means different things. And that's why a lot of these EAs or these robotic ideas of AIs when it comes to trading, it could work the first year, but those robots need to have an update and they need to change because the markets do change. And if you don't realize that, you're going to be offside.
Yeah.
And
People
this
talk
is
about
this is the truth.
AI bots taking everything money, and I know about Aladdin,
Yeah.
BlackRock's AI bot and stuff like that. But there, when it comes to trading in markets, there's only two sides.
Yeah.
there's a buyer and a seller. So a bot cannot really take everyone's money, like, because there's going to be a counter bot on the other side trying to do the same thing, and they'll fight each other. So it can't. I'm not too worried about AI coming in and taking over to where I can't trade
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah, I'm not saying that won't happen, but it's not something I'm too worried about
I
because
think
you're going to be on one side.
I'm gonna be honest with you here, Ron. I don't think AIs can take over trading. And the reasons why I say that, I'll give you my perspective. When you look at the top AI trading mechanism, it's actually a human behind it that has an AI program that can send the trades to multiple accounts. So it's one human trading the asset, sending it to multiple accounts. That's what AI is good for, sending it to automated accounts from the feed of a human's ideology of the analysis, right? The other thing that AI is good at, or robots are good at, is hedging. They're good at hedging because it's number based, systematic, puts it in, out, in, out. Humans are not that quick to press a simple button and get out and in. Some are, some aren't. You know how it is. But when it comes to trading, it's an emotional game. Robots don't really have emotions. Even though emotions is bad, the right type of emotions is good. If you know, hey, this is a great trade, everything works out, that's still emotions because you're still analyzing the chart and saying, I have this, I know what it's going to do. That's your emotions to take the trade and believe in yourself. Robots, they go off of a system. If that system 1 year does not work, like just say a pattern, if that pattern does not work this year, you got to reboot the system. And if you don't reboot the system, you're going to lose a lot of money that year. So no matter what, I truly do believe, you guys can mark my word on this, I truly believe trading is human based. There could be a human behind the scene and a robot can send the trades out, but the human's giving that robot the trades to send to multiple accounts. That's how it's going to work. It won't work. Before robots get into trading to actually physically trade, I think a lot of restaurants and stuff, we're going to have robots everywhere, even more. Let's just say a whole restaurant ran by robots beforehand. So I think trading is the last to ever go.
I got you. Yeah, and I've kind of felt that way too. So we've been on over an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So
I didn't even notice that. Gosh.
Yeah, just talk. Like I said, I could talk.
I feel like we could talk here for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, I could talk about
I could do like long streams. Yeah.
So, but before we do start to log off or whatever, what are your thoughts about BTC overall market? Where do you think it's going? That's what everybody always wants to know.
All I see, long term, you know what? Let's actually take a look at Bitcoin.
Say over the next, couple months, like this market cycle, how do you think it's going to play out?
Let's take a look at it. What do you like to normally look at when it comes to BTC?
Well, like which chart?
Yeah. Do you like Coinbase? Do you like Binance?
I just look at Binance, USDT.
Okay, Binance and USDT. Let's see. Okay, perfect. All right, let's take a look at what we see here. All right, let's remove everything. All right, clearly you guys could see prices just rapidly going higher, which is a great sign. Even if you use the Fibonacci, you can see retracements everywhere. So if I'm even looking at a fib retracement, let me put on my fibs, actually, it's right here. So if I'm even looking at my fibs retracement, you can see the 50, and the 61.8. I've always mentioned this. If I'm just using basic analysis here, guys, you can see that this is the golden pocket. And whenever prices does bounce in these areas, I do believe there's a good projection. And plus, if you're doing a simple analysis of AB equals CD, right, you can even do the extension of this alone and try to put the extension, and hypothetically, you can get a number like that, right, 168. Simple stuff like that. But remember as well, guys, we're in price discovery zone in this meanwhile, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, we're in price discovery mood. So, of course, we're going to get pullbacks. We're going to get all these type of actions before prices continue higher. The one reason that I want to know, in order for me to know that price will never come back down, or it doesn't want to, is to see if there's volume on the bottom of these candles. Why am I saying that? You see here, there's actually volume. So that means there's people left behind. Whenever we have people left behind, guys, guess what happens? Typically, prices do come back down. So price does come back down because remember, these orders need to be exited, or there's people that are pulling the price as further back down as possible. Because if there's orders left over, they want to exit, right? Even though these could be buyers, you could look at the footprints to know, but some of them could be sellers, right? So I always say to people, look at the bottom. If it's exhausted, then we're good to go. Like you see this one's very exhausted. Do you see that? So now I know in my perspective that these are not sellers anymore. These are buyers. And I'll tell you guys how I came to that conclusion. First of all, if this is a red candle, how is it that the red candle had a lot of volume on the top and it died out? So that means the interest of selling disappeared. So if the interest of selling disappeared, all these people that watched that knew to start putting limit orders. And these orders right here are actually not sellers. There might be more buyers. And because there are more buyers, they held the price from going lower. And now they're pushing the price up. And when you looked at the top of this candle, you can see there's actually interest. That's why the price started to continue higher. Right here, there was no interest because you can see it's a little bit lower tapered out, and it's lower tapered out. But when price came down, it failed. Buyers came in, pushed the price, and now you can see the interest going up. So if you want to see what is happening at the very top, very easy. Let's put the same volume on the top and kind of get a description. Look at that, guys. Wow, that's beautiful. Look, there's a lot of volume on the top. This is a perfect example of what price wants to do. If I'm looking here again, let's take a look at one more candle to get a better idea. Beautiful. So what I noticed here is very simple and very easy. We could see here on this candle, there was no volume on the top. If there's no volume on the top, price did not want to go down. I mean, didn't want to go up. What it wanted to do is retest the structure. What did it retest? The POC of the candle. Came back down, retested that structure, and then pushed up. Do you see that? There was no volume on the top. Price did not want to go up right away. It wanted to retest a previous structure. The one other good thing is there's little to no volume on the bottom, so that means there's no interest. If there's no interest, price didn't want to go down. Where do you think a lot of stops are going to be? Right there. There's going to be a lot of stops here. And guess what? A lot of people right now are still going to do one thing and one thing only, looking to still buy Bitcoin. Simple as it is. That's it, guys. If you just followed along what I just said, I've given you a game plan, a play in what I'm going to be doing right here. Once again, there's no volume on the top. Price didn't want to go right away. It had to retest structure, which it did. Retested that structure. Now price wants to go up. We have volume on the top showing us the price is willing to transact in this area. That means there's volume. There's people. There's a volume of people that are willing to continue pushing the price up. And if they're active and they're available and there's less on the bottom, guess what? There's a better chance to continue and satisfy the people that are on the top. So as I'm looking at the structure, guys, I'm more bullish. Maybe look for a pullback, but I'm still bullish. There's nothing else telling me to be bearish. So that's it. And why am I saying that once again is from this, but also reading this. Sellers came in low volume. All of a sudden, limit orders came in, pushed the price up. So that means they were aggressive. They were so aggressive, they never want a price to go back down, and they push the price up. If this is a low volume candle as well on the bottom, that's a good sign that this was going up. Look at that, low volume. Look at the volume disappearing. Look at the volume disappearing. Volume picked up. So guess what? These people that knew the price when it tapped back in again, they're going to go aggressive. That's why price started to push up. And once again, if you had low volume here, this was all a sign the price wanted to reverse. And take a look. You can see that the volume is slowly dying out. Volume slowly dies out. Volume slowly dies out. Picks up. Boom. Once the volume picked up, boom. Right? Once we have exhaustion, less interest, buyers came in aggressively pushing the price. No volume here. Retest of structure. And when I'm looking at this, you can even put the little Fibonacci on this candle as well. And when you look at the Fibonacci as well, you can see it went to the 78 right here. 78 retracement in from this top. And when it came to the 78 retracement, let me just make sure it's right on the money. Yeah, so 78, 61, and 78, you can see that rejection around that level. Price failed to break below the POC. Low tapered out. Low volume. Price pushed up. Volume at the top, guys. High probability price is going up. Simple. That's it.
Yeah, and I think price is going up too for different reasons. But just shows more than one way to look at this for sure. For me, it's just price action, market structure, and everything like that. This leg up in a range. This is one thing I always like. What does the leg look like? What do the candles that construct that look like?
Yep.
It's even when it comes to patterns. It's not just it looks like a wedge. What do the candles within the wedge look like, or within the head and shoulders pattern? What do the candles look like? And to me, that's what I go. So when you get a leg like this, it's like green candle after green candle, good bodies, not a ton of overlap. I mean, in crypto, you're always gonna have some wicks and some candle overlap, but it's like almost straight up, and it's buy pressure, and that's what you just showed there with the volume is buy pressure. And like we said earlier in the stream, these things don't just turn right around.
Right.
So I do think they need to take out some sellers at the top of the range, but this is the kind of leg that when you get that to the top of the range, or the leg that looks like this, that's the kind of leg that breaks through.
Correct. And Ron, I'll tell you something that's very important here, guys, right? Let's say you're going whale watching. This is going to make sense. I know I'm starting this off a little bit weird, but if you go whale watching and you see a whale, everybody's going to notice that whale. Think about what I'm saying here. If we're on an island and we see a whale, everybody's going to know that whale. Think about that whale as a pattern in the markets. If everybody could see that pattern, wait for the manipulation to happen before it goes your way. Simple. Think about what I just said. Let it repeat and sink into your head. If you see a whale, that's a pattern in the market. If it's a big pattern, aka a whale, everybody's going to see it. Let it go against you, manipulate against you, then go your way. Because if everybody can see it, surely a whale is going to see it as well. Now, the way I'm looking at the market, I'm looking at every single tuna fish or tuna fins. Let's just say I'm looking at tunas. And when I'm looking at a tuna, not everybody knows how to examine a tuna one by one. That's why I'm showing you guys, if you examine a candle one by one with your TAs, let's just say you put your TAs overall as well. But if I'm looking at tunas one by one, I just found the way that the tunas are going to travel for the whale to follow, because the whales want the tuna. I don't want to just go for the whale because everybody's looking at the whale. And if everybody's looking at the whale, they're looking at manipulation, they're looking at liquidity, they're looking at your money to be theirs before it goes your way. But if you follow the tuna, guess what? The whale will follow. And the whale, aka, is the volume. The volume will follow. And if you guys get that concept, money in the bank, let it sink in.
Sounds good. What is that indicator you're using when you look at the candle, like the volume profile for the candle?
Volume profile. It's a simple candle. If you guys want, I can just show you guys here. Let me share. Gosh, I almost forgot. Okay.
So I use the volume profile, but for the individual candle like that.
Yeah. So there's other tools you guys can use, but all they do is just the volume right here. It's the same thing, fixed range of volume profile. It should be an indicator right here on the left-hand side. So if you guys go to the very bottom, it should be right here. Exactly right there, right? Fixed range volume profile. And all I do is I make sure it's individual. And once it's done, I can right click, go to the settings of these indicators, make sure it's not extended right. Because if it's extended right, it'll take both the data from both of these. You don't want that. You want the data from individually to understand what the price is doing. And that's what I kind of use to determine price. And you could see here, guys, where the price went to. Look, we knew that price wanted to react there. And look, price went back to that area where volume was located. And now if you wanted to know what this candle's doing, just put your volume profile, guys. Look where the volume is at the top. Look where the volume is not at the bottom. What does that mean? I have a better probability. If I'm betting a house, let's just say, if I'm betting money like a sports team here, guys, one team is winning, one team is not. There's a better chance that these guys are refreshed. They have all the nutritious values that we're looking for, while these guys are depleted. Who am I really going to bet on? I want to bet on the people or the team that have all the tools and the requirements to start winning. So because of that, I'd rather buy than to sell, right? And that's the simplicity of trading, guys. Just keep it simple and understand these little key topics, okay?
And I like this tool a lot because you use it on, like, say, a weekly time frame, everything like that. And so I could probably get the same picture you just painted without that by going to smaller time frames and be like, okay, well, you see this. But by doing that, you can still keep it on a higher time frame, and you're getting a good picture on what was happening.
Correct. I think you know what it is too, Ron. As much as I say to a lot of students, go to a lower time frame, it's very hard for a lot of people, especially if you're new to trading, right? For a lot of new traders, going from a lower time frame to a lower time frame to a lower time frame, because when you see an uptrend, you go to a 1 hour, it's a downtrend, and when you go to a 15, it's an uptrend. Go to the 5 minutes, it's a downtrend. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, I try to tell people, like, go with the bigger trend, like the time frame you're looking at, but you look into smaller time frames to get a better look at, like, a more detailed look at what's going on and what's happening.
I agree.
I would show this on the Omi chart, like, because I thought that Omi had found a bottom, sometime bear market around the 4.0 or something like that. I want to show it because if I go to a smaller time frame, I have to go so far back on the chart, because when you change time frames, it resets it to the front.
Correct.
But on the daily, you see this long wick.
Mhm.
Here, I'll tell you the date it
Mhm.
was. It was April 23rd, 2023. That
Okay,
was
I'll
that was
take a look at it for sure. Yeah.
so it's a long, long wick on the daily. But if you were to go change that time frame to a 15-minute,
Mhm.
the wick is going to be almost just as long.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what does that tell you? Extremely aggressive buying. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, the daily shows that. The daily
Mhm.
shows a long wick, aggressive buying. All right, but then when you look at these smaller time
Mhm.
frames, you see it
Mhm.
bounce that hard. Like as soon as price got down there, bounce.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
strong. So that's
Mhm.
one way you can that's how you use smaller time frames to get it like an example of what I'm talking about.
I love that. Ron, I still want to put out the offer. Why don't we do that? Whenever you're available, if you want, whoever is available or wants to trade, why don't we do like a Zoom call? You, me. It'll be private. We can record it. We'll get 10 people that want to join it free of charge. I want you guys to be a part of this. And then we'll do one free giveaway. And every single person in that group can ask questions. And I will give you guys legitimate advice. Of course, here I can't give you advice because it's YouTube and all of that fun stuff. But over there, I'm more than welcome to give you guys legitimate free advice that I've taken, and I will help you guys with Ron's help, of course. And you guys could talk about any coin, and I'll give you guys true feedback.
All
Okay,
right.
true feedback on
Well,
how to trade.
hit me up and on Telegram or Twitter, JMet, and
Yeah,
we'll get you in with that. He said he was interested, he wants to
yeah,
trade.
and
I'll put it on Telegram and I know we'll get some people, that's for sure.
and you know what it is, guys. I really want to express this. I wish you guys knew how fulfilled you can be with trading. I really wish you knew. I know there's a lot of gimmicks and scams and everything like that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I really wanted to make my channel bigger, I'm going to be honest with you, I would be moving away from Omi. I'll just be strictly honest with you guys. I'll be moving away from Omi. I would get as far as away as I can. I love the community. I love trading this project. And the reasons why I started trading it, to be honest, too, is a lot of people said you couldn't trade Omi. And I want to show people how much Omi token I truly have when I exit Omi and show them it's all simply from trading. Nothing's been from holding Omi. It's trading, exiting, trading, exiting, trading, exiting. Simple as that. And it's just a plan that I have, and I want to exit when it's time, and I want to show people what could have been if you just waited or whatever. In my perspective, that's all.
I did the
And
same thing, John. People were saying
yeah,
it was during the bear market. They said Omi was impossible to trade, it's
yeah.
manipulated or whatever. So
Oh
just
God.
to prove a point, and I got the receipts for this. If anybody wants to see it,
Mhm.
I'll be in the videos.
Yeah,
60 straight days of trading
yeah.
Omi, zero losses, zero
There you
losses.
go. There you
60.
go. See, I just wish people understand you can make a lot of money. And you know what? I bet there is someone that's going to be young watching this. And, I want me and Ron to give you both different advices. I like Ron's advice saying get a book. And, the books that you mentioned, I think they're great. And I'm even going to go look into some of them too. I think finding a mentor would be the best. I don't care if it's me, I don't care if it's Ron. I just care if you find someone that's legitimate, that's willing to change your life and give you a different perspective that you're looking for. If that, like, I don't care if you choose me or Ron, I really don't care. I just care you take that advice and you learn from something or someone that's willing to help you in the path that you're going for. And I wish my younger self, before I met the guidance that I did, I wish I got people to say certain things like that, because that's what would have motivated me more, or to start being an entrepreneur at a young age. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. I know another
and
guy too who's a
yeah,
mentor. He's a FTMO funded guy. His name's
amazing,
Jason, Vietnamese trader. He's really, really good too.
amazing. There you go.
Yeah, he's got
And
a
I feel
program
like,
and all that. If anybody, like I said,
yeah,
get in somewhere where you got a community,
correct.
yeah, and the people helping you out and checking each other
Yeah.
and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, like one of the facts I was watching is like TikTok is more ran by the audience of females, and YouTube is ran by the audience of males. So I understand, like, the reasons why I'm speaking about this is I have students that have physically and mentally, talk to me about these kind of depressions or suicidal thoughts because of money. And I know as men, let's be honest right now, money is a big, big thing. And if you have money, you feel like you're on top of the world. And if you don't, sometimes you feel like shit. So I hope, my guidance and Ron's guidance for this video can elevate some kind of motivation for you guys to get up out of your seat and do something, even if you reach out to me or Ron or ask questions, I think we will do it. We're absolutely willing to help as much as we can. And like I said, if you want to take action, this is absolutely free. And I want to do one Zoom call with me and Ron. Hopefully Ron agrees with this. I'm kind of talking for him, but I know he's a good guy. But yeah, we'll do 10 people, and we will take your answers, questions, legitimate questions. We'll record it, and then we will post it afterwards so everybody can see it. But you guys are going to get the legitimate advice. Any questions you have, me and Ron will physically make sure everything's answered. Okay. And no strings attached. I want to make sure you guys succeed. And my students know this. And I know Ron's students, or Ron's group of people that he orchestrates, knows this as well.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So we'll do it. JMet, just hit me up on Twitter or wherever, and I'll make sure that you get in, brother. So, but we've been on about an hour and a half. So
time flies, Ron.
Like 20 minutes, man. I could literally talk about this stuff all day long. I really could.
You know, Ron, one day we just have to have one day when we get into the markets and we trade the markets one day, I think we should just have like a Joe Rogan moment. Let's just talk about anything and everything.
Oh yeah,
we just spill our guts.
Sounds good, man. And let me know, give me some feedback if me and John may try to do this a little more often, maybe once a week.
This is all this is all from you guys, honestly. Me and Ron will talk behind the scenes. We'll always have these connections. We have other people that want to join us that are personal to us. We would absolutely do that with them. But this is us going out of our way to do it for you guys. And Ron has expressed a lot that he cares so much about his community and how much he loves you guys and the feedback he gets. And I know the feedback I get too. It's really special to me, right? And I want to do this. I really want to help you guys. And even if it's once every week, hopefully, but yeah.
All right. Well, John's breaking up a little bit there, but I think everybody heard.
Oh, wait, can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're breaking up there a little bit towards the end.
Okay. I'm just saying, basically, I'll follow Ron's lead, and whatever he decides that's best for the community, we'll just follow from there.
Well, that's what's up. So we've been on an hour and a half. Appreciate John's time.
Doesn't even feel like
I know, for having the GOAT himself on. Best trader I personally. I'm not saying he's the best trader in the world. I mean, I've these like Rob Huffman, these people talk about, but he's the best person I know personally. Best trader that I know. So, and I always say that. So lucky to have him on. I appreciate your time, John.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ron. I really do appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to this. Okay.
Right on. And you guys stay tuned, and me and John will do some more streams in the future.
Awesome. See you guys later.
Yeah, later, guys.